You sent us a fascinating stack of information articles, studies, even some anonymous forum discussions. And they're all circling one of SEO's most whispered about topics: buying backlinks in 2025.
Mm-hmm. The big question, right? Is it a shortcut to the top of Google?
Or is it just, a one-way ticket to Penaltyville? Let's unpack this, because what we found is, well, it's way more nuanced than a simple yes or no.
Definitely. Your sources show the surprising persistence of the practice.
Yeah, and the risks are always changing, the costs involved, and crucially, what actually works in the long run.
So our deep dive today isn't just about a yes or no answer.
Exactly. It's to equip you with the truth, the data, the risks, the rewards, however fleeting they might be.
And the sustainable alternatives, that's key.
We'll dissect the different methods people are using, expose the costs, share some cautionary tales.
And maybe some rare success stories too, though, that those are often debated.
Right. All tailored to help you understand the real landscape as we move through 2025. Think of this as your insider's guide to this, let's say, murky area of SEO.
Okay, so what's fascinating right off the bat is that despite Google explicitly saying, don't buy backlinks,
they're pretty clear on that.
very clear. But your sources consistently show a significant chunk of the SEO world. Like, surveys point to around 60–70% admitting they've either dabbled in it.
Or they strongly suspect their competitors are.
Exactly. Which really begs the question, why does this keep happening? Why does it endure like this persistent digital weed?
Huh? Digital weed, I like that.
Well, the answer, according to your materials, it really boils down to the enduring power of backlinks. They're still a major ranking factor.
Still super important.
Yeah, so it creates this powerful temptation, for quicker results, that sort of siren song of a fast track to page one.
It's like everyone knows they shouldn't sneak cookies before dinner, but that cookie jar just looks so tempting when you're hungry for those top spots.
That's a good analogy. And the reason it persists, even with the risks, might just be that some see it as a kind of necessary evil in such a competitive space.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit more. So Google's stance is clear, but you mentioned risks. They're not exactly napping on the job, are they?
No, definitely not. Their official stance is still zero tolerance. But, and this is crucial, the way they're enforcing it seems to be shifting.
How so?
Well, the data suggests a decrease in manual penalties for unnatural links. The direct message you get in Search Console.
Okay.
But there's been a corresponding surge in algorithmic penalties.
Ah, so less of a direct warning, more like your rankings just vanish.
Precisely. Think of it like this. Instead of getting detention from the headmaster, the manual penalty, you're more likely to just find your grades mysteriously tanking. That's the algorithmic hit.
And why the shift?
A lot of your more technical sources point to Google's increasingly sophisticated AI. It can now identify patterns of unnatural link growth, spot content that's likely paid placement, often without needing direct human review.
Wow. Okay, so the machines are getting better at sniffing this stuff out.
Mm-hmm. And what's really sobering is the recovery time. If you do get hit and have to disavow bad links, the reported average recovery time is lengthy, 8.3 months.
Oof. That's a long time in the digital world.
It is. And alarmingly, a significant percentage of penalized sites apparently never fully bounce back.
Yikes. So avoidance is definitely better than cure here.
Absolutely. Prevention is so much better than that long, uncertain cure.
Okay, so you're thinking, right, risky business, but let's indulge the cautiously curious for a moment. Or maybe the slightly reckless. What's actually in the link buyer's toolkit? What methods are people using?
Right, let's get into the specifics. Your sources detail several methods, each with its own level of digital dynamite. Guest posting is really popular.
Paying for an article on another site with a link back.
Exactly. The costs vary quite a bit. You're looking at maybe $300 up to $800, sometimes more. It depends heavily on the site's authority, think domain authority, or DA. A DA 30 site versus a DA 60+ site makes a big difference. The key, or what people try to do, is make it look natural. Avoid overly promotional language, keep it contextually relevant.
Trying to make the paid link look earned.
Right. But, and this is the big but, undisclosed paid guest posts, especially with followed links, that's definitely playing with fire. Google's getting much better at spotting those disguised endorsements.
It's like dressing up the cookie to look like a healthy granola bar, but Google's got that sophisticated sniffer we talked about. What else is in this risky recipe book?
Okay, next up, you've got resource page links. These are often seen as a slightly lower risk gray tactic.
Gray tactic.
Yeah, kind of in that fuzzy area. Costs are maybe $200, $600. The idea is you get your link added to an existing page that lists helpful resources.
Ah, like a list of tools or guides.
Exactly. They often use more neutral anchor text, trying to blend in with genuine editorial curation. It mimics something that could happen naturally.
Still feels a bit iffy, though.
It is. Then we move into much riskier territory, private blog networks or PBNs.
Right, I've heard about those. Sounds shady.
Your sources call them SEO Russian roulette.
Huh. Okay, that paints a picture.
Extremely high risk. While the people running modern PBNs try to be all cloak and dagger, try to make them look like real sites, they have a very high de-indexing rate. Something like 92% get nuked within 6 months.
Wow. So you pay for the link, and then the site linking to you just disappears from Google.
Pretty much. The cost can be $100, $300 per link, or you invest a lot to try and build your own stealth network, which is complex and still risky.
Why are they so risky? How does Google catch them?
Footprints. Google analyzes patterns, shared hosting, common IP addresses, suspicious domain registration details, thin content. They're very good at spotting these artificial link farms.
Okay, so PBNs are like playing with actual dynamite.
Uh-huh.
Got it. And what about this hot gray tactic link insertions?
Yes, link insertions.
Oh.
Also called niche edits. This has become quite popular.
How does that work?
It involves paying to have your link added into an existing piece of content on another website, something that's already published, maybe already ranking.
Oh, I see. Sneaking it in after the fact.
Kind of. The cost is typically in the $150, $400 range. The thinking is, because the page is already established and maybe has some authority, the added link might just fly under the radar.
Still sounds like trying to fool Google.
It's definitely in that gray area. Less overtly artificial than a PBN, perhaps, but still manipulating link signals.
So we're talking some serious cash-changing hands
Yeah.
for all these methods, even the really risky ones. What's the overall price tag looking like?
Your sources give a pretty clear breakdown. That guest post on a DA40 site averaged around $550 in 2024. And that's up significantly from previous years.
Costs are going up.
Seems so. If you want a link on a homepage, that could be upwards of $2,200.
Wows.
And even those niche edits, the link insertions, they're averaging around $180.
Okay, so it's not cheap.
Not at all. And it's so important to remember, these costs are just for the link itself. There's zero guarantee of results.
Right.
And it doesn't factor in the potential hidden costs, the cost of getting penalized, the time and money spent on recovery, if recovery is even possible.
It's like paying for a lottery ticket, isn't it? You might win, but the odds aren't great, and the cost of losing could be really steep.
That's a good way to put it. It's a gamble. And the house Google has some pretty strong advantages.
Your materials even give us some contrasting stories, right?
Yeah.
The rare "it actually worked" versus the much more common "it blew up spectacularly."
Exactly. There's a rare success story mentioned involving a sauce company. They apparently invested strategically in relevant, high-quality guest posts. They saw a significant traffic increase, reportedly with no penalties. The crucial factors there seem to be relevance and the genuine quality of the sites they got links from. They weren't just buying any old link off a menu.
Okay, so careful selection, relevance, quality.
Right. But then you have the flip side, the much more common disaster scenario. An e-commerce site, for example, that went for cheap PBN links?
Let me guess. It didn't end well.
Not at all. Massive ranking drop. Traffic plummeted, followed by a long, painful, expensive recovery process. The key differentiator nearly always boils down to relevance, the quality of the linking sites, and how natural the overall link profile looks. Buying a bunch of cheap, low-quality links is like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand.
It's just not going to hold up.
Exactly.
Okay, so the overwhelming message seems to be, don't do it. Or at the very least, tread with extreme caution.
Yeah.
But let's pivot. For those of us who prefer to, sleep at night and play it safe, what should we be doing? Give us the tutorial vibe. What are the sustainable white hat alternatives to earn those valuable backlinks?
Absolutely. This is where the real long-term value lies. Your sources heavily emphasize building real value as the cornerstone. Think of it as earning trust and endorsements, not trying to buy them.
Makes sense. So strategy number 1.
Digital PR campaigns. This means creating content that's genuinely newsworthy, interesting, or useful, something that earns links naturally from media outlets, blogs, etc.
Like that example you mentioned, the pet brand.
Yeah, the dog personality quiz example is great. They created something fun, shareable, maybe a bit data-driven, and it got picked up, earning loads of links and boosting traffic massively. It's about creating buzz.
Okay, digital PR, what else?
Building topical authority. This is huge now. It means creating comprehensive, really in-depth content covering specific niche subtopics thoroughly.
Becoming the go-to resource.
Exactly. When you're the undisputed expert on, say, underwater basket weaving techniques, other sites covering related topics will naturally cite your authoritative guides. You earn links by being the best source.
Got it. Be the expert. What's next in the White Hat Toolkit?
HARO. Help a reporter out. It's a service connecting journalists with sources.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
By responding to relevant journalist queries with your expert insights, you can often get quoted and land high-authority links from news sites and major publications. It's a win-win. They get a source, you get exposure, and a link.
Nice. Requires being responsive, I imagine.
Definitely. Then there's creating linkable assets. This ties back to topical authority, but it's about the format too.
Like what?
In-depth guides, original research reports, compelling infographics, useful tools or calculators, content that people genuinely find valuable and want to link to because it helps their own audience.
Stuff worth sharing.
Precisely. And once you have this great content, you need strategic outreach.
Just emailing people.
Well, yes, but personally contacting relevant websites, bloggers, and influencers to share your valuable content. It's not spam, it's relationship building. Hey, I created this resource on X, thought your audience might find it useful.
Okay, personalized outreach.
And don't forget broken link building.
Finding dead links on other sites.
Yeah, you find a broken link on a relevant site, maybe on a resource page, and you reach out to the site owner. Hey, notice this link is broken, but I actually have a similar up-to-date resource here.
Offering a replacement. Clever.
It's helpful. You're improving their site and potentially getting a relevant link. And finally, related to that, proactively suggesting your comprehensive resources for inclusion on existing relevant resource pages. Again, positioning yourself as a helpful authority.
Okay, wow. There's a whole suite of strategies that sounds much more sustainable and, dare I say, less anxiety-inducing than wondering if Google's about to drop the hammer.
That's the idea. It's definitely more work up front, requires patience, but it builds a foundation that lasts.
Why? Just playing devil's advocate for a second. For anyone still feeling a little tempted by the dark side, maybe thinking they can be clever about it. Are there any harm reduction strategies mentioned? Any way to dip a tiny toe in without getting completely dragged under?
Well, your sources do touch on some risk mitigation strategies, but always with heavy caveats. Diversification is key if you were to dabble, and that's a big if. Don't put all your eggs in one paid basket. Mix link types.
Spread the risk.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Kind of. Prioritize quality over sheer quantity, always. A few decent-looking paid links are less suspicious than hundreds of cheap, spammy ones. And maintain a natural-looking anchor text profile. Don't just hammer your main keywords.
Right, make it look less artificial.
Yeah. The 80-20 rule gets mentioned sometimes. Focus 80% of your efforts and resources on solid, white-hat methods, and maybe no more than 20% on anything grayish, and only with extreme due diligence and understanding of the risks.
Okay, so even the mitigation advice is basically, mostly don't do it.
Pretty much. Think of it as adding a tiny, almost invisible sprinkle of something risky to a mostly healthy meal, not making the risky stuff the main course. And even that sprinkle could backfire.
Right. It's like saying you only have one square chocolate cake when the whole thing is staring at you.
Yeah.
Probably easier said than done for some.
Okay, let's look ahead. Crystal ball time. What does the future landscape of link buying look like as we head further into 2025 and beyond? The general prediction from your sources is pretty clear. It's likely going to get even riskier.
Why is that?
Several reasons. First, that improved AI detection by Google we mentioned. It's only going to get better at spotting unnatural patterns.
The machines keep learning.
Exactly. Second, Google's increasing emphasis on EEAT experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, and related concepts like topical authority.
How does that connect?
Well, buying links directly undermines those signals, doesn't it? Especially trustworthiness and authoritativeness. Genuine authority is earned through creating valuable stuff that people will naturally cite and trust, not through undisclosed paid placements.
Makes sense. Trying to buy authority kind of defeats the purpose of EET.
Precisely. And third, there's speculation that Google might even start to de-emphasize traditional backlinks slightly, looking at a broader range of signals like brand mentions, user engagement, overall site quality. The signals are becoming more nuanced.
So the game is evolving.
Yeah.
And trying to manipulate just one part, like links, might become less effective and more dangerous.
That seems to be the trajectory. Focusing on genuine quality and user experience is becoming paramount.
Okay, so the digital cops are getting smarter. The rules are focusing more on real value. Just to really hammer it home one last time, What are the absolute worst-case scenarios? Remind us of the consequences if you do get caught.
It's crucial to reiterate, yeah, the penalties can be severe. We're talking about potentially catastrophic traffic loss practically overnight.
Ouch.
Then there's that lengthy, uncertain, often expensive recovery process we talked about, 8+ months, no guarantees.
Right.
And beyond the rankings, there's the potential for lasting damage to your brand's reputation. If users or partners perceive you as trying to cheat the system, that trust is hard to rebuild. It's not just a slap on the wrist, it can really kneecap your online presence.
Okay. Message received. Loud and clear. All right, you've heard the truth about buying backlinks, the risks, the sometimes sleeting rewards, and importantly, the sustainable alternatives. For a deeper dive into the specific strategies and tools we talked about, and to explore some of the source materials we've unpacked here, visit the links in the description below.
So, yeah, as we surface from this deep dive, I think the overwhelming message from all your sources is pretty consistent, isn't it?
Seems that way.
While that allure of a quick ranking boost from buying backlinks, it persists. But the risks in 2025 are just significant, and they seem to be growing.
Definitely not shrinking.
No. Sustainable SEO success, the kind that builds real business value, overwhelmingly favors the harder path, but ultimately the much more rewarding path of earning links through genuine value, through those white hat strategies we discuss.
Building that solid foundation instead of trying shortcuts on shaky ground.
Exactly. It's about building for the long term, not just chasing temporary gains that could vanish tomorrow.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Consider this. If all the energy, the resources, the money spent on trying to game the system, on buying links, on looking over your shoulder for Google penalties, what if all of that was channeled instead into creating truly exceptional content, into building genuine online relationships and authority? What kind of lasting impact and success could you achieve then?
That's the real deep dive worth taking.
Absolutely, and it's a journey with a much, much higher chance of a happy ending.